Hi, everyone. This is Amanda Lansing, Chairwoman for the Conservation Commission. The time is 6:01 p.m. on Tuesday, June 23rd. I will now open tonight's meeting of the Leominster Conservation Commission. Just a reminder, as always, due to the COVID-19 situation and Governor Baker's orders, we are continuing to hold these meetings remotely. A reminder that everything is recorded, so both everything that's spoken and chatted will become part of the public record. Angela, did you want to do a roll call for our commission members this evening?
This is Angela Chbesky, the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. I'm going to roll call our commission in. Amanda Lansing.
Here.
Elizabeth Ricci Blair.
Here.
Jeffrey Goyne.
Here.
Samuel Gallagher. Samuel Gallagher has said that he will not be attending the meeting tonight. That concludes our roll call.
Great. This is Amanda Lansing again. Thank you, Angela. So we'll start with our continued hearings. I will read them all in, but a note that all of the items listed under here tonight will be continued to our next meeting, which will be on July 14th. Is that correct, Angela?
July 14th is correct.
Great, thank you. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing to consider a notice of intent for James Xeras for the development of single-family residential house lot within the 100-foot wetland buffer. Address is Lot 3, Mary Ave Extension, Map 419, Lot 23, DEP File 199-1085. That hearing is continued. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing to consider a notice of intent for James Xeras for the construction of a 3-lot residential subdivision with associated roadway utilities. Eastern portion of the project is within the 100-foot wetland buffer. Address is 1157R, Map 419, Lot 23, DEP File 199-1086. That hearing is continued. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing on a notice of intent for the installation of a gravity sewer service to an existing dwelling. The work will cross a stream on an existing bridge and will be within the riverfront area. Address is 181 Exchange Street, Assessor's Map 126, Parcel 6, DEP File 199-1110. That will be continued. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing on a notice of intent for the construction of an addition to an existing structure with associated site work. Work will be within the riverfront area. Address 495 Main Street, Map 266, Parcel 6, DEP File 199-1111. That will be continued. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing on a notice of intent for the maintenance and repair of an existing dam, including tree and vegetation clearing and sediment removal within the riverfront area. Address is 122 Water Street, Map 22, Lot 1, DEP File 199-1114. That hearing will be continued. And lastly, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing on a notice of intent for the construction of a pool patio area and river walk area, as well as landscaping, repairs to a concrete bridge, and moving of an entrance gate within the riverfront area and floodplain. Address is 122 Water Street, Map 22, Lot 1, DEP File 199-1113. And that hearing will also be continued. Just to restate, all of those meetings will be, or hearings will be continued to our July 14th meeting. New hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Mass Wetlands Protection Act, There will be a public hearing on a notice of intent filed for the conversion and reconfiguration of an existing parking lot to construct a new pool with retaining wall, walkways, and accessory structure within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. Address is 500 Atlantic Ave, map 256, parcel 3C. Do we have someone on the call representing this hearing tonight?
Yes, ma'am. Christopher Anderson with Hannigan Engineering.
Hi, Chris.
All right. So, again, for the record, Chris Anderson with Hannigan Engineering here on behalf of Liberty Place for the construction of a proposed pool area and associated accessory structure to the pool. Currently, the property, as is shown on the screen right now, is located at 500 Atlantic Ave, right in the area of the Liberty Place apartment complex. The project is in the close proximity to the existing fitness center, which you can see is kind of highlighted in the corner of the lot that is being shown on the screen. The site currently has the building with a parking area immediately south of it, which is where the proposed work is going to be. The resource areas are limited to a bordering vegetated wetland that extends along the abutting property and runs along from the north towards the south towards the industrial road. The proposed work will be for the construction of the actual pool itself with the concrete pad area around the building and additional parking modifications to the lower parking area where the structure is going to be located. Areas that are going to be disturbed will be loamed and seeded upon permanent stabilization. And to aid into limiting the amount of work as it gets closer to the wetland, we'll be constructing a retaining wall along the entire perimeter of the site, our pool area. With all is said and done, we're actually going to be experiencing a net decrease in the previous area of 3,000 square feet, which aids in the actual stormwater management component of the project. As it is not a residential development, it's more commercial in nature. Stormwater management is applicable. And as this project is being proposed within an existing impervious area, it's being considered as a redevelopment project. As such, the reduction of impervious allows for enhanced natural recharge in the area. In addition, mitigates the amount of runoff coming off of the site in this general area. So overall, I've been substantial improvement over the existing addition. We'll be utilizing straw wattle and silt fence along the outer perimeter work. That'll demarcate the permanent limit of construction, and will stay in place until permanent stabilization has been achieved. That's the gist of the project. If there's any questions from the commission, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
This is Amanda. Great. Thank you for that, Chris. Do any of our commission members have any questions, comments, concerns on anything that Chris just said with this project?
Angela, would it be possible to see the proposed plan and not the existing plan?
Better?
Yes, it is. Upon looking at the plan, I don't have any nagging concern right off the bat, no.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
This is Elizabeth. So I'm just a little confused because the existing plan has a pool there, or has a pool on it. Is that being filled, or maybe I'm not orienting myself correctly? I don't know.
Yeah, so there is an existing pool in that area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Intent to relocate it down to this area, this lower area.
Okay. Okay. I got it. Thanks.
Problem.
This is Angela Chbosky. I just wanted to bring to the commission's attention, I did email you a copy of the comments from the state. I'll bring it up on the screen right here. Christopher, did you want to address the comments?
Yeah, so pretty much a little backstory. I guess historically there's been a intermittent stream, or it's been known as an intermittent stream, that flows within the wetland. It shows up on USGS as a dark blue line, so it does be reviewed as a perennial stream, such as the Riverfront Act does apply. But it's been noted and historically and in various reports that the stream is intermittent. But nonetheless, we don't have the actual proof of that. As I stated before, the project is a redevelopment project, so it would comply with the Riverfronts Act component of everything. As you can see from the plans, we are pulling back slightly from the actual stream itself. So we are complying with that component of it. And the fact that we're reducing the amount of impervious within the riverfront, what would be the riverfronts, if you would get, would be a compliance with that part of the act. So we can leave it to the commission on how their interpretation of this is. I know there's been previous projects down gradient of this stream or this project area that has potentially been considered as intermittent as well. So we leave it to the commission how they want to proceed. We can provide the updated calculations showing the riverfront areas, or showing that we are complying with it, or go forward and do the 4-day documentation to show that it is indeed intermittent. We were out there a couple of days ago, and the stream has been bone dry. And it was also bone dry back in March, which you would expect to see it flowing. But at this point in time, that's where we stand.
This is Angela Chebesky once again, for the City of Leominster. I apologize. While you were speaking, Chris, I was just finished sifting through an old file from 1993, a determination of applicability done by 1997, from a Ross Association on the determination of the stream. I literally just found this. They determined, it looks like the commission determined that the stream was intermittent, and they do have photos here documenting it as well. I want that noted for the record.
Thanks, Angela.
Welcome.
This is Amanda Lansing. Angela, just so that everybody understands, so that that determination that it was intermittent, is that valid evidence as far as what the act requires for this project? Because I don't have a particular issue with this project at all. I think it's an improvement. I just want to make sure that we're being consistent across the board, and that we just have something in the file so that we don't have to go through this again.
Yeah, so this is Angela Chebesky once again. So the way that the act is written, it basically says, I'm going to give you the shorthand note that field observations made after, I lost my place. A documented field observation shall be made by a competent source and shall be based upon observation at least once per day over 4 days in any consecutive 12-month period. During a non-drought period on a stream not significantly affected by drawdown and withdrawals of water supply. And then it goes into what is considered credible evidence. Field observations made after December 20th, 2002 shall be documented by field notes and by dated photographs or video. Field observations made prior to December 20th, 2002 shall be documented by credible evidence. All field observations shall be submitted to the issuing authority with a statement signed under the penalties of perjury attesting to the authenticity and veracity of field notes and photographs or video credible evidence. Department staff, conservation commissioners, and conservation commission staff are competent sources. Issuing authorities may consider evidence from other sources that are determined to be competent. So as I did go out to the site today as well, and I do have these photographs, and I do have the determination as well as several other permits that have been pulled along the stream documenting it as intermittent. I have seen it flowing, but I saw it dry today. I saw it dry in March, and I also have seen it dry when myself and Mr. Goyne went out to the site visit at 320 Industrial. So I believe this would satisfy the credible evidence, and I can most definitely sign an affidavit if that's necessary.
This is Amanda Lansing again. Great, thank you, Angela. So do either of our other commission members, Liz or Jeff, do either of you have any questions or concerns with anything that our agent just said regarding the status of this stream?
No, I'm all set. Sounds like everything's good.
Amanda, I'm all set as well.
Great, thank you, Jeff. In that case, I will, if we have no other concerns from our commissioners, I will open it up to anyone else who may be on the call who wishes to speak on this project. Please just state your name and address for the record if you wish to speak. Second time. Third and final time. Okay, do we have a particular recommendation from our agent for this project?
This is Angela Chbosky again. I do have a recommendation. I just have one question, Chris. If you don't mind, I apologize. I was sifting through the file when you were giving your speech. When I was on site with Mr. Hannigan, there was a pile of concrete and debris. And when I went out there today, looks like somebody had dumped a load of bark mulch over them. I just wanted to, I know when I spoke to Mr. Hannigan, he said he would take out the culvert and pipes and all the concrete when they did the work, even though it wasn't them that had left it there. I just wanted to confirm that that was still the case.
I'm sure it would be accessible. I wasn't aware of that. If it's within the area of the work and the commission's okay with it, we can condition that any concrete or miscellaneous construction materials can be removed from the area.
You know, the condition I would recommend of Angela Chbosky again would be either, you know, have you guys remove it or allow access for DPW to remove the materials that was left behind, if that's all right with you.
I do not see an issue with that request.
So then I'll give my recommendation. My recommendation is for the commission to issue an order of conditions for the Liberty Place apartment complex, DEP file number 1991115, with our typical boilerplate, with the special conditions that the conservation agent will be notified 48 hours in advance in order to do a site inspection, that the letter from the state waiving the 45-day appeal period will be presented to the agent at the time of being received. And then the final condition would be that the concrete debris on site will be removed either by the applicant or by the DPW at some point during the process.
This is Amanda Lansing. Thank you, Angela. Do I have a motion to issue an order of conditions for this project with the conditions that our agent just stated?
This is Elizabeth Ricci. I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions with the additional conditions that the agent stated.
Thank you, Liz. And do I have a second?
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I will second that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. And I will also vote aye on this project to issue an order of conditions. So motion passes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time tonight, Chris. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, so that ends our public hearings for the evening. So we will go on to our regular meeting. New business. Angela, do we have any additional updates about the COVID situation that we didn't cover at the last meeting?
Hi, this is Angela Chbosky. Yes, there was another update. I did speak to Kim Ross from State to discuss the letter that they are drafting for people who would like to start work due to the COVID-19 state of emergency appeal period being extended. It does actually apply to determinations of applicability now. I guess it applied it from the beginning, they just didn't put it in the frequently asked in the questions, but anything that's appealable, the applicant must receive a letter and present it to the commission before they do the work. They can present it to the agent if the commission's all right with that, or they can present it, they can have it presented at the meeting. I don't have a problem reviewing them, and I feel they'll be pretty simple in reviewing. It's either yes or no, we plan on appealing. But that's the update for right now.
This is Amanda again. Great, Angela, thank you. Do we have to do any type of vote or anything for that to say, yes, we're okay with them just presenting the letter to you when an applicant receives it and you can just put it in the file?
Yeah, that probably would be good to do a vote. I can do a roll call. Do we have a motion?
So the motion would be to allow the applicants who receive that letter to simply present it to our agent before they start work, and she will put it in the file rather than having to ask an applicant to come to a meeting to present the letter to us.
This is Elizabeth. I will make a motion that the letter can go be sent to the conservation agent instead of being brought in person.
And
This
do I
is
have a second?
Yeah, this is Jeffrey Goyen, and I will second that motion.
And Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
I will vote aye on this as well.
Right, so the motion carries to allow the applicants to give the letters from the state to the agent for the file without presenting it to the commission.
Great, thank you. And moving on, no certificates of compliance at this time.
Well, none at this time.
Great, and extension permits.
None at this time.
Moving on to communications. So Hill Street, we talked about this quite a bit at the last meeting. We are continuing discussions about this until the July 14th meeting. That's correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Moving down to Elm Street Trails parking area. Discussion on this is also continued to our July 14th meeting.
Correct.
Meeting minutes, it doesn't look like we have any to approve right now.
Not at this time.
Great. So moving on to enforcement, 9 Penny Lane.
This is Angela Trusky, the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. At this time, I did conduct the site visit with the peer reviewers and the applicant's representative. But unfortunately, when we got into the field to look at where the remediation area was and whether that area that was in dispute was a wetland, all the wetland flags looked like they were run over by lawnmowers or they were moved. So we have to we went out, we took a look, we discussed a little. So we're going to be going out again once Whitman Bing was able to relocate the flags, and then I will have a final update.
This is Amanda. Great. Thank you, Angela. And 248 Lincoln Street. What's going on there?
Angela Trusky, once again, for the city of Leominster. At the last meeting last week, the homeowner, he had proposed planting wildflowers and removing the asphalt. The commission accepted that restoration plan, so he's working under the enforcement order. He has not completed it yet, but he is working on bringing the site into compliance. I'm just going to leave it on the agenda just until it's completed, just so we don't forget about it.
This is Amanda. Thank you for that update. And our last update here, Hill Street and Elm Street.
Pull it up here. This is Angela Chabowski once again, the agent for the city of Leominster. If the commission remembers, at the last meeting, I've briefly given you guys a little synopsis of what happened there. That I drove by, and I noticed that there was a violation. There was a lot of work that was being done. The property owner at the time, she was not able to come to the meeting, so I'd asked just for us to continue into this meeting. I did meet with Ms. Foley on the site with herself and one of her colleagues yesterday. We discussed the site, we discussed the violation. I'm trying to bring up the images now, just to remind everyone. And we discussed our plan. That she would like to sell the lot at some point. She was under the impression that the wetlands were no longer there because the neighboring properties had removed their discharge pipes from they weren't pointing directly at her land. Now they're pointing elsewhere. I did explain to her, as well as her representative explained to her, that unfortunately that's not exactly how wetlands work. The water isn't flowing above the ground anymore. It's basically still flowing under the ground. And the Hill Street topography, this is a low point, so there's a lot of water coming down the hill, as well as there's catch basins and an outfall that deposits into this area. I wanted to show the commission there is also a plan. I'm going to try and open up an image that will be a little bit larger that I'll be able to zoom in on. That was part of an application for the 2 lots to be developed. She's since she is not the owner of one of the lots that I discovered recently per my conversations with her. But she still owns a lot that has the majority of the wetland violation on it. I'm just trying to pull up a larger image. Bear with me, sorry guys. But at this time, it's not bringing up the file. There we go. Looking at the site in the area that was disturbed, I do believe that we do need to get the state involved, as this is a violation of the Clean Water Act, and we do need to know the exact calculation of area loss. Doing a rough estimate and a rough measurement using the older plan and what's on site now, and using GIS, this could cross over the 5,000 square feet of wetland area altered. I did speak to Mr. Hannigan, who will be representing Ms. Foley at a meeting most likely either in July or August. And their plan would be to file a notice of intent to restore the area and build a house and do a wetland crossing. That is what they would like to see on the ratified enforcement order. Would that be the requirement from the commission? I'm so sorry, it's taking so long for it to load up. Here we go. But as you can see, here's the lot. This entire area is considered wetland. And let me get my drawing tool. According to these plans, this is the property she owns. This property over here anymore. And so this entire area is completely altered, as you can see from the pictures. So in my experience, I will leave it to the commission. I do hesitate to allow an NOI be issued without knowing that the area is being restored. Just because we've had other projects where the applicant, we give them the NOI and then they don't do the restoration area first. So the restoration fails, but then they build the house, the driveway, and they sell the lot and they move on. And it does become a problem for the next owner. I do know that we do have the certificate of compliance as somewhat of a protective measure, but there's really no legal bounds stopping anyone from selling a lot with an enforcement order or selling a lot with an open order of conditions. It's only if somebody catches that before the lot is sold. This is a large violation. It's a large area, and I don't believe it was done in malice. I think it was just she thought it wasn't a wetland because the pipes had been removed. She was given incorrect information, and so she allowed work done on her property, which, yes, it was wrong, but it wasn't done intentionally to be malicious towards the wetlands or malicious towards the city. I just don't personally, I don't know how the commission would want to proceed with the ratified order if they want me to consult with the state on what, some advisement on how to enforce something this large, and consult with them with the Clean Water Act, as this is a violation of the Clean Water Act. I believe it's over 8,000 square feet of area that's been altered. It may be less, it may be more. I'm just estimating. I'll wait for the final numbers from the engineer before I make that a firm statement. But it's a very large area that was destroyed.
This is Amanda Lansing, Chairwoman. Thank you, Angela. Jeff or Liz, do either of you guys have any insights, comments, opinions on this?
This is Elizabeth. So if I'm understanding, you're asking us if we want to issue an enforcement order or not yet?
Angela Chvesky, Conservation Agent for the City of Leominster. I did issue an enforcement order to cease and desist. I'm going to upload it right now. Bear with me. Here it is. And this was what I had proposed before, when I originally went on site, saw the issue, the violation. To return to compliance, we were requested to do the following: provide written confirmation of intent to comply with the Leominster Conservation Commission within 5 business days of receipt of this order. She did contact me as soon as she received the order, let me know she intends to comply. Cease and desist all activity that affects the resource area and buffer zone, which she also has done. Stabilize the soil to limit runoff and erosion controls are suggested. The area, the way that the actual roadway is higher, a little bit higher than the area that was altered, so she didn't have to do anything really there at this time. Within 10 days of receiving this order, all trucks will be removed from resource areas and develop a plan for the removal and restoration of the resource area to the original state. So she is working on that with the engineer at this time, but she would like to do it under a notice of intent. My estimate was to restore all the altered wetlands and then apply for a permit for the remainder of the work in the resource area and buffer zone. And that was what I had required, just because of my experience. It doesn't always go well when you issue somebody a notice, an order of conditions, and you can put on the special conditions that phase 1 will be the restoration area. But with a wetland replication or restoration, you do need 2 growing seasons. So we've had multiple sites where we've asked them, to restore the area. And historically, they don't restore it, or they restore it only partially, and then it fails, and they built the house and the driveway, and they sell the lot, and they move on. And from my other conversations with the state on other enforcement issues, they typically don't recommend releasing the enforcement order until you're satisfied, because you lose your teeth, you lose your ability to enforce, and you have to start the enforcement process all over again.
This is Elizabeth. Okay, I understand now. So yeah, we should ratify it. But it sounds like she understands. You explained everything. She understands everything.
Angela, again, yes. After discussing with her representative and discussing with her on site, she does understand to a degree. They would like to get the notice of intent and the restoration order done at the same time as one permit, just so that they're able to sell the lot. This has caused some financial burden and I do sympathize with that. I don't know if the commission wants to ratify the order tonight and add their own conditions or change the enforcement order that I issued, or if they'd like to consult with the state, since we'll have to check in with them on the Clean Water Act for that violation for the amount of wetland filled. We can continue it to the next meeting and then ratify it after I consult with them, or if they'd like to, or if you guys would like to ratify it tonight.
This is Amanda Lansing, Chairwoman. So I'd like to hear, you know, obviously both from Jeff and Liz a little bit more on this, but my opinion is I would like a little bit of a consult. I think talking to the state is a good idea because this is not a small area, and if they are planning on like building on it, and I recognize that this was not necessarily done with malintent or anything like that. I would like to get the state's opinion on how we can do this in a way that we ensure that the wetland is restored, but that doesn't necessarily cause the homeowner to have to go in and spend however much money to restore it just to go back and fill parts of it in again. Legally, I don't know exactly how that works, but I think given how large of an area was disturbed, I think getting a little bit of guidance from the state on sort of the way this should be done is a good idea. So before we ratify anything. So Jeff or Liz, do either of you have any opinions on what you think you'd like to do?
This is Liz. I agree with you. I think getting the state involved sooner rather than later is probably going to be much better. I mean, because considering they are going to file an NOI, the state will be looking at it anyway. But yeah, I think if they have the time, that'd be a good first step.
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I'll echo the same sentiments to consult with the state before ratifying anything. And I also echo the concern that Angela has about a possible issue being transferred to the next person to own the property. You know, it'd be unfair for the new owner to have to deal with something like that and not know that it existed.
This is Amanda. Great. Thank you, Jeff. And yeah, I think it's a great idea. We have had projects in the past where a homeowner does buy a home that they did not know had a wetland on it because they were told that there wasn't a wetland on it, and it has caused a whole lot of issues. So I'd like for that not to happen to somebody else. So Angela, given that, do we have to do any kind of vote or anything, or can this just, since we're all sort of in agreement, can this just stay on the agenda until the next meeting?
Angela Chvesky, Conservation Agent for the City of Leominster. Yes, this can just stay on the agenda. We can continue it to the July 14th meeting. And hopefully by then I'm able to connect with somebody at the state and get some advisement on the best way to proceed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we'll just continue this to July 14th. So now we're on to emergency certifications. End of Ash Road. I think we chatted about this a little bit at the last meeting. Any more updates from the last meeting?
This is Angela Chvesky, Conservation Agent for the City of Leominster. So at the last meeting, we know they had an RDA before us. But while they were waiting for us to have a meeting with all the permitting, the banks have started to erode significantly. As you can see, there's a large tree here that fell down. So I'd issued an emergency certification for them to go out and do the work sooner than later, and then we issued the determination that night. Now it's more of a procedural part of it that we just need to ratify the emergency certification that I had issued for them to do the work before the determination of applicability was issued, just because the trees were falling. It could most definitely cause flood hazard if we had a heavy rain and that was completely blocked, as well as it could cause damage to any of the abutting residences' properties. I did go out there yesterday and I met on site and I oversaw with somebody from DPW they had to clear some trees down, so they were able to get some trucks in there to remove the riprap, and they're going to be replacing more riprap along the edges. They are keeping me in the loop the entire way, so it's been a really good interaction, and we should have this stabilized hopefully by the end of the week.
This is Amanda Lansing. Jeff or Liz, do either of you have any concerns or questions?
This is Jeffrey Goyen. Angela, do you have a quick detail of what they plan to do with the riprap there? I thought you had showed us a plan that they had put together, but I couldn't tell if it had any kind of stabilization system underneath the riprap. I know for the state, when we put down the riprap, we tend to put down a barrier underneath to prevent erosion through the stone, but I didn't know if there was anything like that going in as well.
I believe there is. Just give me 1 second to pull it up from the permit from the last meeting. Oh, it's not. I apologize. I'm gonna have to pull it up here on my drive. Let me look here and read. So they're gonna have 6-inch depth gravel with a filter blanket. It looks like I'm trying to zoom in.
Okay, yeah, I can see it in the detail. All right.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Yeah, that was my only question.
Okay. Yeah, so they're doing everything according. Sorry, this is Angela Chbosky. They're doing everything according to the plan that they had submitted for the determination. It was just unfortunate that during that time, they must have gotten some high winds and some heavy flow from that culvert that just kind of knocked the banking the right way and put us in this predicament.
This is Amanda Lansing. Any other questions or concerns about this?
This is Liz. I'm all set.
Great, thank you, Liz. So in that case, do I have any motion to ratify the emergency certification that our agent issued for this project?
This is Liz. I will make motion to ratify the emergency cert for this project.
And do I have a second?
This is Jeffrey Goyen, and I will second.
And
Amanda Lansing, how do you vote?
we'll vote aye.
So the motion carries, and the emergency certification for the end of Ash Road for the banking stabilization has been approved. The motion carries.
And budget, any additional budget updates?
Angela Chabasti for the City of Leominster. Not at this time.
This is Amanda Lansing. So that concludes our business for our regular meeting. Our next meeting is Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. Deadline of Friday, June 26th, 2020 at noon. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
This is Liz. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And second?
This is Jeffrey Goin, and I will second.
And this is Amanda Lansing, and I will also vote to adjourn tonight's meeting. So with that, I will declare this meeting closed for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and I will talk to you soon.